Good morning, gang. Good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome back to this week's Bitcoin update. First and foremost, remember, nothing's financial advice. This is for educational purposes only, and it's my view of the markets. Now we got that out of the way. Bitcoin. Okay, let's run down what's happened since we last spoke. Specifically, we'll talk about the crash, shall we say, that happened over the weekend. And then we'll talk about what I'm looking for next in terms of next setups. Okay. So first and foremost, let's talk about, so since last week's video, it had been last Thursday, we've had a 16% move to the downside. Okay. Now, a lot of influencers and a lot of these LARPs on Twitter and YouTube have called this a crash. Okay. But in the grand scheme of things, its price has moved down 16% in a week. Now, in what world is that a crash? That's just a healthy pullback so far. Okay, we are still within the same sideways range as we've been in for a month. So it's not a crash, we've just moved down to range lows. The only difference is it happened quite fast. Okay, and a lot of people get scared in volatile times. Okay, but a lot of these influencers like to use words like crash or breakout or triangle or whatever, because, you know, it's emotional. Okay. The sensationalized moves because it gets more clicks. Okay, they don't give a crap what's happening in the markets because they're not actually trading the markets. Okay, so let's talk about this. So first and foremost, the move that happened down on Saturday. Okay, so we had obviously loads of news coming out about, you know, missiles and bombs and things like that, and I'm not going to get into that because that's not my kind of thing. Okay, but what we had is price move down into a support level before a very nice, healthy bounce of 11% to the upside. Okay, and this was a trade that we were planned and waiting for in the group. Now, a lot of people will look at this chart and go, well, how did you know that was going to happen? I didn't know that was going to happen. All I knew was a time and a level that I was interested in trading. Okay, so if you follow us on Twitter, you've probably seen this, but if you don't follow us on Twitter, this is the tweet that we put out. Okay, while the masses were scared to bid on Saturday during the crash, we were ready and waiting. Never ignore time in your analysis to add confluence to a trade idea. Clip from Wednesday's daily trading plan. So last Wednesday, not yesterday, the week before, we had a plan in place for the weekend. Okay, and I'm just going to play you a really short clip from this. If it starts coming lower than that, then obviously we've got to pay attention because we've got the one-to-one down here. And now if that one-to-one does line up with the channel, happy days, I'm all on board with that. That's coming in on Sunday. Roughly, in fact, yeah, Saturday, Sunday. If it starts coming. Okay, so there you go. There's the channel that we're looking at. There's the one-to-one. And the channel and the one-to-one, as you heard then, it came in across Saturday or Sunday. Okay, so once again, I didn't know what was going to happen on Saturday or Sunday. All I knew was if we saw a move down on Saturday or Sunday into this one-to-one, so we've got a fib extension from the high to the low, back up to the high again. What we'll do is we'll flick it onto a one-to-one, onto the one-to-one, and then that also lined up perfectly with the channel. And this is why people seem to ignore this axis when it comes to trading. Hoping you can see that on your screen. The bottom axis, time. Okay, everyone focuses on price. Nobody focuses on time. Time is a valuable thing when it comes to trading because it's the other axis. Okay, trading charts are made up of two axes. I'm not very good with English. You can tell I'm from Yorkshire. Okay, but if you take this into account and look at this, price came down, price came up, price came down. Okay, hit the one-to-one, arguably a slight front run, but hit the channel, and it happened on Saturday night. So between Saturday night and Sunday night, this is what we were looking for. So when price came into this level and everyone was panic selling into this or getting stopped out because they've been longing up here and listening to the influencers telling them to long the top, but you know, we'll ignore that for now. Then we had a nice trade opportunity out of this. Okay, so this was the first trade that we got over the weekend. Now, typically speaking, I don't take a weekend trade. It was just very fortunate that I'd come upstairs at the right moment when my alerts were triggering. Okay, but I know a lot of the guys in the groups caught this trade as well. Came back up and it came back up into the EQ of the channel. Now, moving on from that, we've come back down since then and re-tagged or officially hit the one-to-one perfectly. And now we've had a little bounce. Okay, so once again, this was another trade opportunity that we had. And this is something that I was updating the guys on in the group based on, let me see if we can find the tweet. Let's see if we can find this. Okay, so we'll back out of this. We will look at, in fact, it was that one there. There we go. Right, so this was the other one that we were looking at. So this was from yesterday morning's trading plans before the low was put in. Okay, so I'm recognizing that this move down that happened over the weekend went a lot further on leverage-based exchanges, but other exchanges didn't take that internal low into the one-to-one and into the channel. So I'm saying to the guys that if price comes back down, again, if, that's the key word here, because I didn't know this was going to happen. I'm not a LARP, and I'm not going to tell you this is what's going to happen. This wasn't my only trading plan. This was my first trading plan for the downside. I had others for lower, and they're still technically valid. Okay, but if this came down, took out Saturday's low on Bybit and on other leverage-based exchanges, and then cleared up this low on other exchanges like spot exchanges, I'll show you that in a second, then I'm looking for a trade. Okay, looking for a long. And in the end, that's what we got. We got the trade. So this explains the second move down. Now, what I'm referring to here is if you look on this, in fact, let's use the index because it's easier. So if we look at the index, this Bitcoin index, price came down, price came up. Okay, this is the key low that I'm talking about here. Now, on most spot exchanges, and including CME, this was the low on Saturday. It didn't take out these lows. But when you look at leverage-based exchanges like Bybit, for example, this was the low. Saturday did take it out. Okay, so what we're waiting for is if we do come back down, take out this low across all exchanges, and then start to see a bounce, then there's a long opportunity. Okay, so not only did we have this long opportunity, but we also had this long opportunity, and it all came down to time and price. Okay, hopefully you can learn something from there. Also, the overwhelming factor within this is Elliott Wave Theory. So if you understand Elliott Wave Theory, you'll understand how we got to this conclusion. Now, that's just a quick recap of what we've been looking at in the group. Now, the question is what's going to happen next? Okay, so let's just get rid of these and let's look at what's going to happen next. So first and foremost, we're going to do what we always do. We always show you is we're going to do a volume profile from this low up to this current high. Okay. Now, we know locally we are in a range-bound environment, okay? Whether that's your main low or we use the high in the middle, it's kind of irrelevant. It's still a range-bound environment, okay? So this is what we've got to look at. So let's look at downside first. If price comes down and breaks these lows, once again, you're going to see all your influencers shouting breakout, breaking down, sell your bags, whatever, whatever, whatever. If we come down here and then reclaim this range, then all we've seen is a simple swing failure pattern, grabbing the liquidity from down below these stops, showing some strength, and then there's long trigger. Now, once again, if you get that long trigger, then it's just back to trading this range. Does it mean it'll automatically rotate all the way to range highs? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. This is why we manage our trades. Okay, this literally could do that. Who knows? We don't know, but we know range lows. We don't look for shorts, we look for longs, okay? Just likewise, when we come up to range highs, we look for shorts. We don't look for longs, okay? I might have got that backwards when I said that. But, yeah, let's see. Now, if we do lose these range lows, once again, this is not a short I'd take. But if we do lose these range lows, then once again, we can start looking back down. Now, where's the volume? Well, the first batch of volume's here. So this is coming in roughly around 51k down to, call it 50k for easy numbers. You've got a bit of a section there, okay? This little consolidation. Once again, some will call it a supply zone, demand zone, whatever. Again, it makes no difference, whatever you want to call it. But we know there's some volume here. This is what's important. So if we do get this move down into this zone, do we see some strength? Do we start to see a local structure change to the upside? If we do, there's a long trigger. If we don't, let it roll over further. If it rolls over further, it's pretty obvious where I'm looking at. There's a big point of control down here, okay? You've got a lot of volume within this zone, within this range. This is the range that led to the breakup. Just like this is a lower time frame range that led to the breakup. That's all we're looking for, okay? I don't know what's going to happen if and when price gets there, but if I do see some strength in this region, or this region, then I'll look for longs. If I don't see any strength in this region or this region, I will sit on my hands and wait patiently for lower prices. It's as simple as that. Okay, let's talk upside next. Okay, downside's fairly straightforward with this. Let's get rid of this. Now, upside, nice and simple. Okay, in fact, let's just bring that range back. There we go, there's your range. Upside, volume profile across the whole thing. Let's tighten that up a little bit. Let's zoom in something like the 4 hour. There we go, we can see this a little bit clearer. Okay, so if we continue up in this direction and then start breaking some higher time frame structures. So for example, right now the 4 hour is still in a downtrend, but if we start getting acceptance back into value area low, then the 4 hour potentially starts to flip bullish. If it does flip bullish, then first and foremost, EQ, point of control, very close together. Okay, that's going to be first sticky zone. If you start flipping that, then we can start looking at higher prices. Higher prices, nice and simple, around value area high. Flip value area high, then we can start talking about all-time highs. Okay, so if we do get back up here, I won't be naturally looking for a short based on a simple reaction of those range highs. I'd much rather see price take them out. Then I will look for shorts. Price takes them out, gets acceptance back into the range, then there's a short trigger. If it does take them out, doesn't show any weakness, then we can look for higher prices. Now, once again, I've talked about this many times before. Okay, where we stopped between here and roughly around 77 to 78k is my sticky zone. So if we do flip out of here, then there's still a sticky zone right above us. Okay, until we flip, call it 78 to 80k, I'm not going to be looking for even higher prices yet. Okay, so we still have an area of interest up here. Okay, and that's it. Just really straightforward here, no bullshit. This is what could happen, and if that happens, this is what I will do. And that's how you trade. Okay, obviously, if you guys want access to our daily trading plans, or actually genuinely want to learn how to trade, but I'm putting another caveat on this, only if you are ready to learn how to trade and you're not looking for signals and you can't be asked and you don't have the time to spend doing this, then don't bother coming to our website. But obviously, if you do want to learn, come over to our website, click the Join Us tab. It'll cost you the grand old price of 79 Great British Pounds, roughly around $100. And then you get access to all of our educational content, private Discord, my trading plans that you can see, trading plans from today, and obviously access to all the educational material. Okay, but the educational material, as much as it's simple, you've still got to put the hard work in. If you can't be bothered to put the hard work in and study the material, you're not going to do well, because that is the nature of trading. Most people are too lazy, and that's why they lose. Okay, but if you can be bothered, come check us out. Okay, hopefully you've learned something today. If you have, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. And until next time, gang, as you were, bye-bye.